caller goes after President Obama, but thinks Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, ding the bell, and leave your comment below.
Greg in Charlotte, North Carolina, it says here you disagree with me, so you go to the front of the line. What do you disagree about?
Oh, thanks, Tom. I saw video footage where I saw Toledo did have an arm. He did have a weapon. I saw still frame footage.
Not at the time he was shot.
Well, how does the officer know that?
Because the kid had his hands up in the air and the spotlight was on him. I saw the video too.
Not what I saw. That's not what I saw in the film, but we disagree. Second point I wanted to call you about was you talk about...
We can disagree, Greg, but everybody in America saw that video. It's playing on loop on CNN. The kid has his hands in the air. He's got a spotlight in his face, and the cop shot him anyway.
That's your interpretation. That's not what I saw.
No, that's what I saw.
The Republicans. What about President Obama? I was looking for the CFR. Do you know how many innocent civilians were killed by Obama's drone strikes? 324.
I doubt he killed 500,000 innocent Americans. I really doubt that. You know, you've got 25 deaths in Taiwan. You've got 7 deaths in New Zealand. You've got maybe a couple of hundred deaths in Australia. These are countries that did the right thing that Trump was willing to do up until April 7th, when the news came out that mostly black people were dying. Vanity Fair did a deep dive with inside sources in the White House, quoting Jared Kushner and these guys, saying, hey, you know, if we don't do anything, if we stop mailing these 5 masks out to every family, the post office was all set to do that. Louis DeJoy, for God's sake, was going to do that. And if we stop that, and if we stop all these other programs, we're going to see blue state governors take the heat for this and mostly black people dying. Why are we trying to do anything? And at that point, the Trump administration started within 2 weeks, they were tweeting, reopen Michigan. Remember that?
Hey, Tom.
You know, he was trying to kill people as his electoral strategy.
Tom,
and you want to talk about Barack Obama? Seriously, Greg?
Hey, Tom, do you know what President Obama's comments were after that they told him about the tally of drone strikes? He reportedly told aides, turns out I'm really good at killing people. Didn't know that was going to be a strong suit of mine. What are your comments on that from the former president?
Well, A, I don't know that he said that. B, but let's assume for a moment that it's an accurate quote. I don't know the circumstances under which he said it. I don't know if he was saying it sadly or if he was saying it enthusiastically. I just have no idea. But Greg, I can tell you right off the top that Donald Trump committed mass murder. He did it not by negligence. He did it by intent. And we know from his own words. Just last week, he said, whatever Fauci told me to do, I did the opposite. And he did the opposite, and 550,000 Americans are dead. If you're going to try and pin any of that on Obama, Greg, we got nothing to talk about.
Well, no, I want to ask you one final question, Tom. I hear you trash Reagan and Republicans, but I want to talk about your hero, FDR. And this is for what FDR said about the Jews in private. This is from the Los Angeles Times. Not only was FDR anti-Asian, he was anti-black and he was an anti-Semite. And let me give you some quotes of what he said is the best way to settle what FDR.
Greg, if you're gonna quote anti-Semitic quotes from FDR, let me just stop you right here, Greg. I'm willing to acknowledge.
Tom?
No. Let me just finish a sentence here. I'm willing to acknowledge that, you know, I don't know any specific quotes from FDR that are anti-Semitic, but I just don't want them repeated on the air, is what I'm saying. But the point is, let's say he did.
Okay, so
let's say he did. I mean, anti-Semitic jokes. I can't tell you how many times in the 60s and 70s when I was a teenager, I would hear anti-Semitic, anti-black jokes, anti-Polish jokes, you know, all kinds of stuff that today we would consider horrible and insensitive. Well, what I'm concerned about, you know, and Nixon, of course, made anti-Semitic jokes all the time, and of course, and then you got Trump saying, you know, I want guys with the yarmulkes counting my money. I don't want black guys counting my money, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
but none of that, in my mind, is anywhere near as important as what these people did. And and FDR put this country back together after people like you tried to divide it. You had the America First movement going in the 1930s, wearing Nazi armbands, giving Hitler salutes, and talking about how FDR was trying to turn America into a communist nation. That went on for years. That didn't end until we entered World War II.
And he was a racist. FDR was an anti-Semite, anti-Asian,
May well
anti-racist.
be.
Here's one.
May well be. You know,
here's one
I'll give you,
Cato, Tom.
Woodrow Wilson
Why
was
did
definitely a
FDR
racist, and he was a Democratic president. But I'm looking at these people's policies, Greg. I'm frankly, you know, rather than pulling one or two sentences out of probably what were, you know, bad days in their presidency, or even, you know, just a bad part of their personality, I'm willing to look at their policies. FDR put America back to work over the objections of Republicans. They didn't want him doing the New Deal. They didn't want him doing Social Security. They didn't want him doing long-term unemployment insurance. They fought him all the way to the Supreme Court on child labor laws. They fought him all the way to the Supreme Court on the right of individual workers to unionize. They fought him all the way to the Supreme Court on his bringing electricity into rural areas, the Rural Electrification Administration. You know, LBJ's policies were good. Ronald Reagan reversed much of that stuff. So, Greg, you know,
here's one. I want to ask you one question about his policies from the Rockefeller Foundation. The New Deal made America's racial inequality worse. Why would they say that? That's a Rockefeller Foundation. That's not no right-wing organization. That's Rockefeller.
Well, it's probably true. It's probably true. A lot of the New Deal, just like a lot of our highway construction, they would intentionally run highways right through the edges or right through black neighborhoods. It's the way, yeah, it was the way it was done. It was done wrong. I'm with you, Greg. I'm completely with you. It was done wrong. And so, and that's why Joe Biden says with his new plan, he's going to do it right. He's going to rebuild our infrastructure in ways that don't exacerbate racial, basically segregation, you know, racial inequalities as a consequence of segregation. But Greg, nice try. You know, and